actually smoke. A little bit. I don't know if you can see that. A little bit of smoke. Okay, so this is a rebuilt one. I don't know if I'm going to take it apart and clean it again, but the cracking pressure is just about right. It's supposed to be about 2,000 psi roughly. Got a little bit of a odd spray pattern, but this is an original one that came out of an old spare parts one that I had. And this one, the cracking pressure is similar, but watch what happens when I get to it. Now if I crank on it, you can see it's got a pretty bad spray pattern as compared to this one. So we'll see. I'll probably take both of these apart. So these are the replacement tips, which are super cheap. Like 6 of these was like $30. So, and there's the specs, blah blah blah. I got these testers are like 80 bucks. I actually bought a second one because I thought this one was broke, but it's, I think I got it kind of repaired now. So anyways, I'm going to take this one apart and redo it and then compare the pattern to this one, because this one's got a pretty good mist, but it's not perfectly centered. This one's probably much better than this one, but we'll see. Alright, you have to put these in a vise. There's a flat spot where it's in the vise right now, and you're gonna have to heat them up a little bit. And I just broke this one free, but it's gonna take some force, a little bit of heat. Still hot. Alright, still pretty warm. Let's take this thing apart. So you can see on this injector, this flange here is there to hold this injector in. But this injector has different configurations. In this case, this is what it is for the Westerbeke. So take it out, try to lay them out in order. That's there. And this is the injector. This might take a little bit of a beating to get that out of there. It separates right here, and that's what this is right here. That's what the replacement is. So, and there's a couple other parts in here. There's that. Thank God I'm videoing that. There's a spring in here. Alright, I think part of what's holding it in is this is, you can see the crush gasket, the sealing gasket on there, and that's kind of holding it in. Now normally there's a tip right there. I wouldn't want to be beating on that, but in this case I'm definitely not reusing it. So there's the sealing washer, and then here is the nozzle, and this plunger should come out, but you can see how dirty that is. So let me take this off and look at the new nozzle. There's the new nozzle. You can see that tip just protrude through there. Very precise. And there's the plunger. So this is the part that has to be clean. Now I can't just slap this back in there because this stuff needs to be thoroughly cleaned and rinsed, and then we can reassemble and test it. But there's not much to it. Let me get my piece of paper here. It's not a very good drawing, but you can see the nozzle, which actually has a couple pieces. There's the little hat right here, is right there. The little bushing, not bushing, little pintle or whatever you want to call it, spring. And then there is a shim. That's right, there's a shim in there. May or may not be a shim in there. And the shim is how you set the cracking pressure, by basically shimming this spring up. So when that spring is shimmed up tighter, the cracking pressure becomes higher. So some have shims, some don't. I'll see if I can dig in there and see if it actually has a shim or not. And there is a shim in there. There it is. So all this stuff needs to be cleaned up, with the exception of this, because I will not be reusing that. Let's set that aside. Let me do that and we'll reassemble it. So you can see I got some vice marks on this, but there's not much you're going to be able to do about that. You're going to have to put in something. If you have smooth jaws, obviously use those, but a little bit of marks probably won't hurt anything. I'm just using, for right now, I'm just using alcohol. And this is just an experiment. I've never done diesel injectors, but they seem like a pretty simple thing here. So we're just going to do it. Probably going to use some acetone here in a minute. Alright, let me dump this out. Alright, just redoing the same steps with acetone. Hard to show cleaning this without my big fingers in the way. So these injectors were spare injectors that I bought a spare Westerbeke that was no good. It had no compression. It was all locked up. But it had a lot of good spare parts on it, including injectors, injection pump, various other things. And so I'm just cleaning these. I actually hadn't planned on using these. I'm just cleaning these as an experiment and then reassembling them. I've got 6 of these injectors, one of which is already installed in that other injector. And then once the other ones come out, I'm going to put these that I'm doing now, I'm going to put these in the boat, in the generator, and see if it makes a difference. Because right now the generator's smoking under load, and it's definitely diesel, like unburnt diesel. So, and I don't think it's compression because it starts up perfectly and has no smoke at all until you put it under load. I haven't done a compression test. I'm not going to. You know, the injectors that are in there right now have been sitting in there since 1986 or so. Probably never been cleaned. And I am just going to clean these, put them in, and try them, and pull the other ones out, and then rebuild them like this, depending on how this goes. In worst case scenario, I just have to buy all new injectors, which, and this is part of the reason why I'm doing this, because you get 6 of these for like $39. If you buy brand new injectors from Westerbeke, they're almost $400 each, which is ridiculous. That's good. Let me let these dry out. I'll lubricate them with some, I guess, diesel fuel when I go to reassemble them, and then we'll put them back on the tester and spray test them. Alright, let's see if we can get this assembled. If I remember right, this is the new nozzle, complete with the little pintle in there. Then this went down like that, and then the spring goes in this part of the body here, and I think it's the same on both sides. And then this goes on that, 'cause that's where the spring rides. But I forgot my shim. This shim sets the cracking pressure, make sure it's not cockeyed down there. So now it's going to stick up a little bit farther, applying a little more spring pressure. And then we got to make sure we have this body on there. Maybe better to do this. I guess the spring's going to compress that a little bit when you tighten everything down. Then we'll have to tighten the body and then retest it. Alright, let's go tighten this down, and then we'll put it on the tester and see what it does. Alright, so I got 2 injectors. I'm kind of happy with both of them. Cracking pressure is right at 2. Pattern looks okay, about like this one. Build pressure back up. This one's got a pretty narrow nozzle, but this one looks perfect. This one's But I had to go through a couple more of those nozzles because some of them weren't very good. I guess I could have cleaned them out or tried them again. I didn't throw those other ones away, but I'm going to try these in the boat and see if it helps the smoking issue. And then we'll take those other ones out and we'll flow test them just like this and see how bad they are. I'll bet they're terrible. Alright, more later. And just to show you, this is the original one. It says DN4SD24. DN4SD24. 6 pieces. They were like $40 for all 6. So I can't even get this little pintle out. It won't even come out with me trying to grab it and force it out. So this thing was pretty much done. I mean, you might be able to clean this up with an ultrasonic cleaner, but to me I would just replace it, as cheap as these things are. Okay, so I'm down at the boat and I've got my injectors in that bag right there. Got to move that stuff out, and that's access to where the generator is from the backside where the injectors are. Normally when I'd start, I'd have a pretty good amount of smoke. Especially the other day I started, it was pretty cool out. Put a big load on it because I was charging the batteries, and there was a lot of smoke out here. And just a little bit of a sheen in the water. And it definitely smells like diesel, unburnt diesel. So it's, I suspect, atomization. So I'm gonna put these old injectors that I rebuilt in there. I'm gonna take those in there out and then check the spray pattern on them and rebuild those if I have to, if these don't work out. So we got power back on the boat. Everybody's got power after the hurricane. So everything's good, and we'll see how it goes. So I don't need the generator right now, so we're gonna do this maintenance. I'm anxious to see if it works. All right, so we're working through this hole. I took the fuel pump off. It's mounted right here. Pretty easy to get off, but the only bad thing is these bolts are not captured, so you have to get a finger on them to get them back in. Once you get the threads on, though, they don't have to be very tight. So now we have access to the this is the return hose line up here, and then we have the 2 fittings and lines from the injector pump, and then there's just a couple bolts taking it off. So we'll get these off and we'll put the new ones on and put it back together and try it out. Alright, injectors are out. Here's the old ones. Pretty caked up, but I don't know. The only way to tell is to flow them, which we'll do when we get them home. Here's the new ones with the new nozzles. These are old injectors but with new nozzles on them. So we're going to put those back in, fire it up. Alright, pump's back on, it's all back together. Hopefully everything's seated and tight. We won't get any leaks, and there's full compression because it has copper seals in there, and just has those big plates on the injectors up there with 2 bolts on either side that presses down the copper plates. The rebuilt injectors were a little bit tight going in to get seated, so we'll see. Hopefully they're down and nice and tight and seated for full compression. If it doesn't, you should hear it like a hissing escaping gas, but we'll see. Alright, let's go fire it up. Okay, panel's over there. Got this side open. It's open on the other side, and it would normally, it's a 2-cylinder, so I mean 2 cylinders don't generally run very smooth anyways, but it used to vibrate quite a bit and it would smoke on startup. I expect some smoke on startup and some different things. We'll see how it goes. Alright, we got to do a little bit of priming, so we're going to let it prime a bit. Alright, here we go. Already it smokes way less and is running much smoother. Very good sign. I got to get down there and look for leaks. little bit of smoke. It's a little bit of a cool day here, but you can't even detect it. I can just smell a little bit. But I'll tell you what, it is already behaving much better. Now I'll have to put a load on it and see how it holds a load. But let's do some leak checks first. The old injectors. Let's go put a load on it. A little loud, so I gotta turn the AC on. We'll put a load on it. This is gonna go up because the generator is now the grid. As soon as that compressor turns on, we're going to load it up quite a bit. And then we'll see if it smokes. There we go. I'll have to check the hertz of the generator output. Nice and cold. Any smoke? A little bit. I don't know if you can see that. A little bit of smoke. Let it run a bit. It's way less than it was. Let's check the hertz. Do this one-handed. Okay, so we're a little less than half load, so that's pretty good. And hertz is directly proportional to RPM. I think it is running better, but we're still smoking a bit. So we'll have to investigate a little bit more. Definitely doesn't run hot or anything. It runs nice and cool. Maybe hard for you to pick it up on camera, but there's a little bit of smoke. Let's let it run loaded for a little bit and see how it does. I'm gonna run the AC off the generator for about 20 minutes and see if it warms up. Alright, after running for about only 10 minutes, it's starting to clear up a little bit. It's better than it was. See a little puff of smoke every now and then. But the generator itself runs better, for sure. The next step, I just need to change the oil. Oil's been in there a while. I don't even know what oil's in there, but I need to put a little bit thicker oil, possibly make sure it's not diluted with fuel from maybe some of the previous cylinder washing, if those injectors were washing the cylinders with a terrible spray pattern. Alright, so just changed the oil, cleaned out the exhaust elbow. Exhaust elbow wasn't actually all that dirty, but right now I got the microwave and the AC going. I got almost 3,000 watts coming out of this 4,400 watt generator. And there's a little bit of smoke, but not nearly as much as what was coming out before. And it runs 1,000 times better. Those injectors made a big difference. So heating up some water on the microwave, running the AC, trying to put some load on it, keep stopping it. Whoa, hot water. I don't want to. Keep loading it up because just had an oil change and had those injectors done, so I want to just keep it loaded for a little while, see if anything's can be broken in a little bit. This generator has had very little use over 25 years. Way better, 1,000 times better. See a little bit of smoke there, but it's loaded to almost maximum. This is almost a 30-year-old generator. Still loaded up. Heating up water. For an old Westerbeke, you can see a little bit of the smoke. I don't know if it comes through on camera, but it's way better than it was. And it's a little bit of a cool day out too. So I'm gonna call that good. But the generator itself, I don't know if you can hear it, but it's running much, much smoother. It did used to have a little bit of a knock, a little bit of irregularity to it, but now it's running like clockwork. I don't know if my lens is, so I'm gonna call that good. Good enough. Keep it loaded. Alright, so here's the ones that I pulled out of the boat, and if you notice at 1,000 psi or so they start to just dribble, and then when you put a little bit on there, see, they continue to dribble. Oops, you didn't see that, did you? Let's see. See how it's still dribbling? Like that. So, and that's as low as like 500 psi before it closes up, and it still drips. So this one's no good, but I can rebuild it. Let's do the other one. Alright, so here's the other one, and it cracking pressure is a little early, like 1800. Spray pattern's pretty terrible, but at least it doesn't dribble. So I'll rebuild both of these and have these as spares. Alright, I've been letting it run with the hot water heater on and the air conditioner. 2,652 watts. And it seems to be doing very well. So there's very little smoke now. Could use a little smoke with the no-see-ums. They're outrageous. Last week when I had to come down here and charge the batteries on generator, there was just puffs of smoke everywhere. And when I took the old injectors out and took them home and flow checked them, they wouldn't hold pressure. So as they got just a few hundred psi on them, they'd start to dribble. One of them was real bad. The other one cracked at a little early at like 2,700 psi and didn't dribble. But the spray pattern was terrible, and the other one, it would just continuously dribble and had a terrible, terrible spray pattern. So the more I run this loaded, the better it has become, and it's pretty cool out right now. So I'm very, very happy with this. As a matter of fact, I can't detect any smoke right now. Every once in a while I'll see a little wisp of smoke, just a little bit when you look down on the black water. Just a couple little puffs. Not enough to keep the no-see-ums away. And it just purrs with those injectors. That made a huge difference. I think there's probably a lot of carbon from bad combustion. Probably take some run time with more loading to get it to clean up even more. But the way it is right now, I'm extremely happy with it. I could sit on anchor, no problem, load it up to the maximum that the Multiplus could see, which is around 3,000 watts because it's a pass-through inverter. And we can run the generator, air conditioning, hot water heater, or air conditioning and microwave, no problem. I don't think I can get the microwave with the hot water heater, but very happy with the way that this came out. Just purrs. It's never run that good. Of course, it should run better with those injectors. These no seams are killing me. Alright, well, I'm going to call that good. Every time I come down here, I'll run the AC and the hot water heater and load it up for a little bit and see how clean I can get it. Man, that thing's like not smoking at all now. Very, very happy about this. So the longer I run it, the more smoke free it comes, and even the colder it's getting right now. So very, very happy. Anyways, I'm gonna call this good.